Welcome everyone for this SharePoint session using SharePoint for project and portfolio management and education. My name is Mark Dunkel. I'm a U.S. education technical specialist around SharePoint for both higher education and K through 12. Today we're happy to be joined by Daryl Trimble. He's a partner manager at BrightWork, and you can see his email information. So first, thanks to BrightWork for agreeing to do this webcast. BrightWork has a great project management and portfolio management solution that runs on top of SharePoint. But first, a little bit about this webcast series. This webcast series was designed to really help customers with the breadth of partner solutions that are out there, really help customers think about SharePoint in new ways and use SharePoint in new ways. In this case, it's all really around project management and getting the most and the value out of SharePoint as they move forward with your evolution with the product. This session is recorded, and you're going to see this recording on a YouTube channel of SharePoint Edu, and I'll provide a URL for that at the end of this session. So in today's format, we are going to kick it over to BrightWork. We're going to have a demo and presentation as well as a Q&A at the end. So with that said, I would like to introduce Daryl Trimble at BrightWork. Daryl, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mark. Let me go ahead and show my screen. Okay. Today we're going to talk a little bit about project management and portfolio management on SharePoint, specifically for the education sector. First of all, a quick overview of BrightWork. We have been specializing in collaborative project management solutions for 17 years. We started actually on the Lotus Notes platform back in 1995, and in 1999-2000, at the early stages of SharePoint, Microsoft recruited us to bring our applications over to SharePoint. Since then, we've been working with the different versions of SharePoint and provided an ongoing and growing set of capabilities in our project management and portfolio management applications. We also have a very close Microsoft partnership. We are a joint development partner, which means that we work very early on in new releases of SharePoint with Microsoft. We've been gold certified since 2005, and we serve on SharePoint partner advisory councils and also enterprise project management advisory councils. Today we have over 450 customers worldwide across all industries and quite a few in the education sector. So let's talk about a little bit of where we fit in what we call the project management solution spectrum. And this is actually a Microsoft slide. And I think when you're in an organization, you see many different levels of project management. Of course, there's the very structured projects that are out there, and those are typically manned by project managers and staff and so on, doing very structured professional project management. But that isn't always usable by operational departments and entities and divisions. So there's also in the spectrum of need a lower level of structure and process that's needed. So you may have individuals or small projects out there. You may have just department work groups that are doing projects, and then all the way through to the top level. Now, Microsoft is providing different levels of project management solutions as well. We see a lot of people using email and Excel and so on at the lowest levels. There's SharePoint team sites and task lists at the kind of lower to medium level projects. We see Project Professional and MS Project interacting with SharePoint all the way through to total work group collaboration. And you can see here's where we fit. Solutions is BrightWork brings to SharePoint a full project management solution. So beyond standard SharePoint, you can actually use BrightWork to extend SharePoint into a full system.
And Daryl, this is where I see a lot of our customers. Our customers are in this space. A lot of times customers begin because they really have no structured project management. And so they use SharePoint for that. But over time, it kind of evolves to where they need a kind of an aggregated view of all the different types of projects and that sort of thing. And maybe they're not quite to the level of, from a culture standpoint, a project server. So you guys fit right in the middle between something that is very rich and robust of a project server and what you get with SharePoint out of the box, and kind of facilitate that gap.
Exactly, Mark, and that's really where we're targeted. And it's not unusual for our customers and Microsoft's customers to have all of these in the organization. And you'll see that we actually work very well to pull a lot of that together and to fit in that specific area. So if we take a look at how we're seeing this apply in our customers in education, one of the things we've seen out there with our customers is not only, I mean, everybody's got the budget cuts. Everybody's got to do more with less. But also, on top of that, you're seeing more regulation, more mandates, school improvement plans, federal, state, and local requirements, and so on top. That requires better tracking, more paperwork, more documentation, and so on. So what we're seeing is a lot of higher education, as well as K through 12, are setting up project management offices, or just putting in methodologies to help them prioritize the number of projects. So if you've got limited money, you better make sure that the projects that you're spending money on are those that really make a difference. And the second thing that this is starting to drive is some standard methodologies and really a platform to support those, so that everybody from a principal all the way through to administrators of a district or in a university setting can get visibility into where the different work is going on, where the different projects. And the other thing that this aligns very well with is SharePoint adoption is very high in the educational sector. And it is very good for creating collaboration and team task tracking and so on, but it is a bit entry level for some of the to be able to support a full project management capability. And the other thing that SharePoint is excellent for and is key to supporting education is education by its very nature is very distributed. And so because it's all built on a web environment, it allows for collaboration and sharing across a virtual environment, especially in distributed campuses and so on. And then finally, project management in the educational environment really is from very simple to very structured as far as requirements.
So Daryl, when I look at that slide and something that you mentioned that SharePoint kind of does as a platform, whether it's project management or we're working as a team on another type of collaboration project, is SharePoint really provides that centralized area to where our team is getting together to kind of reevaluate our processes and how we do things. And, with project management being all over the place, in some cases, one department or one school might have 4 to 6 different ways that they do project management. By this centralization, this really gets the dialogue going to begin to have a more structured dialogue around how to improve those processes and the way they do projects. So do you see a lot of that? Is that kind of an aha moment for a lot of folks when they begin to use this?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just not possible to actually achieve, common project management methods and structures without this, because otherwise it's on everybody's desktop. It's, even documents and related artifacts are spread all over the place. So the SharePoint collaboration platform really is at the core of what's making this possible. So one of the things you'll see out on our website is we have a lot of case studies. And just 3 examples out there. Durham Public Schools is using the BrightWork project management platform. And what they did is they have school improvement programs. North Carolina put in mandatory improvement programs and tracking. And so they needed their administrators to be able to use across the organization a simple tracking capability to track what projects and what programs they're putting in place and where they're at in those programs, and needed to roll up reporting to the different administrators and stakeholders and everything else. And it literally was a required regulation to do this. And so they were presented with the challenge of, hey, I've got to give a principal who's very busy doing many different things during the day an easy tool to use to start tracking these things. And then I need to be able to roll up. And so this is where they brought in BrightWork, created a methodology, an improvement plan methodology, and implemented it on SharePoint with BrightWork. And we'll actually see examples of what they use to do that. Another one is a small Baptist college, Maranatha, and their problem was that they have limited budgets, but they had project activities all over the place. They couldn't track, they didn't know what was going on, they had little collaboration, they had no common platform or methodology, and no way to roll up or measure costs and establish priorities. And so they brought in and they actually established a project management office, and they brought in BrightWork, and they put in place several levels of templates that could be applied to different projects based on how structured it needed to be and so on. And now they actually can do a full roll-up. They can do a look at what's going on, where it's at, what money has been spent, what resources are being applied, and also they can also do project forecasting and project request management for new projects coming on board and prioritizing those. Another example in a more departmental level is San Francisco State University. Their IT organization was overwhelmed with all different types of requests, upgrades of systems, different application projects going on. There was conflicting priorities. They implemented, particularly in the IT organization, our product to track many of these things. And they really wanted a collaborative approach where they could track issues. They even rolled in a help desk that related to IT, and are able to roll up all work, not just project, but also tasks and issues and help desk type things. So you can actually see on our website, brightwork.com/case studies, detailed videos and information about these. So let's quickly go into, and we'll jump into the demonstration here pretty soon, but what is collaborative project management? The collaborative is the new thing in front of it, and this is something that SharePoint really allows us to leverage. Collaborative project management is not just tracking tasks. It's actually tracking everything that's related to the project. So it might be a project statement or statement of work to kick off a project. There's a planning stages where you're looking at all resources and scheduling and tasks and other artifacts. Artifacts might be documents that are related to it, and tracking budgets. And then actually when you get into actual project execution, again, the ability to track tasks visually through Gantt charts, to actually capture issues related to projects or change management, and for your team to get a full view of everything that's assigned to them through the My Work page. And this is almost a portal page for your teams to look at so they can see exactly what's been assigned to them and what they need to work on. From a communication standpoint, because it's SharePoint, again, we can track all documents related to the project. We can even go to a task level and say, show me all documents related to this task immediately. It's all in one place. It's all in SharePoint. Any meetings, any discussions, even alerts for overdue tasks, alerts for issues, alerts for overdue costs, all can be done in a collaborative way through SharePoint. You can get these alerts in email. You can also see them on health indicators, which gets into the measurement and monitoring of projects. This is where you can actually have dashboards, not only for an individual project, but also a roll-up of projects. KPIs for health indicators. You can set your own metrics. So if you want a health indicator to turn red after an issue is more than 2 days overdue, you can do that. The product is totally flexible to allow you to set it up however you want it. It also can provide status reports to stakeholders automatically via email on Monday morning on a scheduled basis, and also provide financial reports and dashboards. So at the project level, we have all of this. But the real key thing is the ability to actually take a bunch of these projects and roll up the information and report on it from many different views. And so that's another piece that the product does very well for. So let's take a look at the project management spectrum. This is what we really work off of. And we mentioned this earlier with the slide with the big arrow on the thing. But if we get into it, on the left-hand side might be that principal that's tracking, different improvement projects, but wants to do it almost in an Excel spreadsheet view. Very simple, very non-structured, not breaking even down a whole bunch of tasks and resources. All the way through to adding more structure. In the loosely structured, the semi-structured, you might be tracking issues, you might be tracking resources and teams and roles, all the way to the fully structured, where it gets into more complex sets of things that you're tracking. So if we take a look at traditionally, what do we see happening out there? Well, we see today people using emails to do some of the very loosely structured things, maybe some Excel spreadsheets. As it gets more structured, we see MS Project being brought in, and fully structured, you might see Project Pro and even Project Server. Now, this is all fine, except it's scattered all over the place. The other thing is, you got a lot of things related to these. You've got documents and meetings and contacts and discussions. And again, those are all over the place too. What SharePoint brings is the ability to create a platform to pull all of this together. And you can use SharePoint to do this with native SharePoint. We add an application capability on top and the functionality to make it a full project management system and project management portal that your organization can take advantage of.
And so Daryl, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you're walking into a school district or university, and everyone can understand the fact that a lot of these projects are kind of scattered everywhere. From a cultural standpoint, it appears, because you were mentioning the principles, that you can allow people to kind of grow with a product, to either have that, kind of begin with a centrally located area to where you can kind of project the status of a project all the way to the fully structured area to where now we're thinking about resources, we're thinking about aggregation of all of our projects. Could you walk us through that and how a customer goes through that process?
Absolutely, absolutely. And what you're really talking about is those people that are comfortable using things over here all the way through over here. And one of the things we don't want to take away from them is if they're used to using an Excel type spreadsheet, let's let them use the same type of interface. Let's not force anything that they're really going to reject. I'd rather have them use things than to not use it because it's too complex for what they have to do every day. If it's more work to track the project than the project itself, then it's not going to work. So
it's all about adoption.
Exactly.
And the fact that we're centralizing this, now we all have the visibility for how people are kind of working and collaborating, and now you have access to that information.
Exactly. And you can do a lot of that with standard SharePoint, and we see a lot of people starting with that there. And usually where we're brought in is when they've kind of used SharePoint a little bit to get some of the things going, but then they've hit some limitations of SharePoint. And that's where we come in. And so if we take a look at BrightWork on SharePoint, we take care of some of the limitations that often you might have to hire consultants or something to add to it. And we also support all versions of SharePoint. It's built on standard SharePoint so that it's 100% customizable. So if you want to add a list, if you want to change a view, you want to add a column on a list, you can do that using standard SharePoint and no programming necessary. You can add your own artifacts, lists and libraries and so on. So an example might be you might have a quality control document that has to be produced at certain milestones in a project. You can create a quality control document library and add it right in. We sync with MS Project, all versions of MS Project there. You do have to have MS Project Pro for 2010. There's document management, full auditability. So on tasks, you can actually see who did what changes to the tasks at what time. And you can run it on-premise or as a hosted service. Now, we don't run on Office 365 at this time, but we do offer hosted service as well. So the way that we deliver the product is in what we call templates for SharePoint. And Mark, this gets back to how people might deploy it. We deliver different templates that run the spectrum. So you could have something that's as simple as a project tracker manager to track projects almost in a SharePoint form. There's a light project template, which is for simpler projects, but you have a team and you want to track tasks and other things, all the way through to very structured projects as well. And we also do it for different things. Here's work items. These are just like issues. Office is help desk type of thing. Work is just work tracking tasks, as well as full portfolio management in a program office, and the managing of project requests. So this is kind of the front end of how do you manage project requests and project demand and prioritize projects and approve projects. So what I'll be showing you here in just a minute is actually the project light, project standard, a structured program management office, and I'll also show you a little on the project tracker as well.
Now, Daryl, it seems to me like there's kind of a cultural roadmap here as far as, you know, where you can begin if maybe my organization isn't as structured as we'd like to be around project management, where we can kind of start off, get our feet wet, and we can, you know, kind of evolve over time to this fully structured model as adoption dictates and as people's comfort levels with the technology kind of come up to speed. You can kind of evolve through this chain.
Absolutely, and you can apply your own methodologies. You know, just as I mentioned with the Durham Public Schools, they had that planning methodology, improvement planning methodology, and they actually applied it over here. And as it matured, they started bringing in more pieces to it, and then brought it over here. So absolutely, and this is where the flexibility allows you to really deploy it as your organization's needs are today and as they grow. So let me go into the actual product, and I'll show you a little bit about what it looks like. Now, you remember if I go to the most left-hand side of that spectrum, this is a simple project tracker, and this is actually what some of the principals in the Durham School District use, and they took and they actually just entered in project names here, project type, the project status, you know, information on planned start dates, finish dates, some actual dates, and so on here in a spreadsheet-like view. This is very much like they may have been using it in Excel here. And in fact, we've had people that use the Excel import capability to actually drive this from actual sheets they may have been using previously. It also allows you to track project statements for each one of these as kind of a definition of the project as well. And also, if you want to make any changes, it's very easy to go in and change these. So for instance, let's say I want to go in and say this is now 100% completed. I just do that. And this is where the power of BrightWork comes in, is it automatically does a roll-up of these projects and so shows you a visual dashboard of what's happening with these projects. Now, the interesting thing is this could be, maybe this is one administrator's at maybe a high school project chart. This can actually roll up then to a district set of project tracking type of things, and then roll up even to a higher level than that. So this is the power that, you know, even though we're at a simple level on how we're entering the information here, we can roll up into a much more brought together view of what's the activities are going on.
So Daryl, I'm sorry to interrupt again. This area here where we have KPI type of aggregation about how the status of a project and the health of a project and the costs, the quality of those projects. The ability to aggregate and roll those projects up, is there a scale limit? Because we have a lot of universities that might have a central IT department where they have multiple schools using the same platform. Can we roll this up, you know, as far as how many projects can we have? And we can definitely roll these up to specific groups, subgroups?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to jump real quickly over here to project. Here's a project office. This might be a department or where we have, in this case, 3 projects. But this could roll up into a higher level, and we'll see Contoso projects. And now we have many projects. And so we have customers that have, we've got one that's doing 3,000 different projects. that they're tracking out there. And because you can install this, you can put this in different site collections, different divisions, and you can roll up from all of those there. And you can even roll up in different views. We've got people that I want to see it by district, or I've got ones that I want to see it by function. And so you can even do almost like a Rubik's Cube of views on the portfolio capabilities here. So let me kind of step back. We were at the simple project tracker here. Now let's say there's a project that maybe it's, in this case, it's an IT project out there. And it's a small project, but this is the view of an individual project. And so you get things like an initiate and plan. You have a project statement and tasks and documents you're keeping track of. There's also the first introduction of the My Work here. And My Work is actually where team members can go in and see specifically what they have assigned to them. And so your team members, while the project manager may be looking at an overview of the whole project, team members can go in and look at tasks, issues, all work that's assigned to them, and actually update things right there. You'll see this apply actually all the way through the portfolio level. So you could have a team member who maybe is a part of the district or part of the university in a certain area, be able to look across all assignments that he or she has by task across 7 different projects, and maybe even bring in a help desk or issue desk set of tasks as well. Now, the other thing, too, is obviously tasks can be updated at any time here, and we also roll up all information in this. And you can see now we're just tracking 3 different things. It's a small project that's going on here, but you start to see a dashboard is delivered. Okay, you've got working Gantt charts as well, and we actually enhance the Gantt charts out there that SharePoint provides, and I'll show you that in a minute with our little more structured project. But I think you get the idea of we've gone from just a set of tracking of projects to now an actual broken down project tracking different things. If I were to go to the next level and actually, here's a very structured project. Now, notice how this changes. It's still kind of the same thing: initiate, plan, execute, and control. Very much like our donut that we were looking at there. But the things that we're tracking in this project are much more. So you can go in and there's a project statement and there's goals. There's even contacts in the project that are going on. If we take a look at the working Gantt chart on this project, you can see that there's a lot more to it. There's task reports out here and so on. So this is where you actually now have a more structured project, but you're still getting the same type of standard roll-up of a project schedule. And you can go in and change these project schedules and durations and all the normal things you can do. Another thing is you have the dashboard. Okay, and now you see a little more information and status and critical task lists and so on. So what we've done here is we've moved about 3/4 of the way over the spectrum, and we even now have things like resource reports. And you can look at resources by role, by name. You can start to plan, resource time, and so on. So hopefully you can see that, you can be as simple as this. You can do some very simple things as far as simple project capabilities here, and all the way through to a very structured project and a roll-up of those projects.
And what I really like to see, with this solution is that flexibility to allow your users to grow with the system, because I think that people, love to begin to use technology where they feel comfortable, and they feel comfortable with the moving parts. But I could quickly see how they're going to escalate and try to get up into the most structured that they can. But it allows you to your whole team to kind of evolve through the process and get comfortable, feel like it's almost a training. It's an ongoing training to get through this maturity model. And I imagine that a lot of customers kind of find themselves naturally pivoting through this.
Yes, absolutely. And, and what we'll also find is there are individual teams and customers like, IT projects or even, capital projects within districts or so on that are used to using it at this level. So we're not taking anything away from them. They can use this. Now, the really cool thing here is if I want to create a new project, what we're really doing is we're taking advantage of the template structure. So let me go into one of these projects. And let's say I want to create a new project. You can go in here and you can create a project. But the nice thing is, and maybe this is the lunch program project, and we'll call this LP. And we can assign a project manager, but this is where there's some real power. You can create this project from a project template. And this is where like Durham Schools or Marantha College, what they did is they created a set of templates that people could create projects from. So it's not only all the ones that are delivered with our product, but you can take and modify those templates and make your own templates. So if you have one that you want to use at the school district level, maybe it's just that simple project thing, they can select that. If they want to create a help desk, they can create an issue manager project. And so it allows them to put some structure in, and so people aren't starting from scratch in how projects are created. And the same thing goes with how you create project offices.
And I imagine, too, it keeps consistency for the way projects are run, too. So that helps with training. It helps with just the visibility of what you expect when you go to those types of projects.
Absolutely. So let's talk about another part of project management here. I think everybody gets what they can do with the project management product. Another nice piece of this, we've talked about those people that are using Excel and that type of thing, but you may have people that are using MS Project as well. And I'm going to go in and show you a little something here too. Now, here we have a project, and one of the things that you can do with any project, and you can even start from Microsoft Project Desktop. And this is where you can actually go in and you may define projects on desktop, and then you can actually synchronize up to SharePoint. And if you have our templates up there, you can actually synchronize to our templates. Or here's an example of where I have a project, and I'm going to bring it down into Microsoft Project Desktop as well. So again, on the left side of the spectrum, you may have people that are used to using Excel. Towards the middle and towards the right, you may have more sophisticated project managers that are already using the Microsoft Project capabilities here. And this is where you can bring it in and actually work between the two products and sync between the two products.
That's very cool that you guys have that integration with projects. So now you have the very structured project managers can use project, and it's the whole evolution, whether you're using SharePoint out of the box through your product to project. A lot of our customers just aren't tracking the projects to the degree the project server requires, and the ability to use those as an option to where you don't have to back up and not use project server if that's what you're comfortable using, but now everyone can use this.
Exactly. And to go into one other area, one of the other challenges of project management is how do you manage all the new projects coming in? And we actually have a project forecast manager and a project request manager. And this is where you can actually go in and on your project portal you can do, for instance, submit new project request. And there's a structure that people actually can go in and request projects. Here you go, impact on business goals and project manager and reasons and so on, so that then you can have your approval team actually prioritize the projects. And this is where you can actually go into and start to look at project planning and reports out there on, by organization, resource forecast, role forecasts, and so on. And this is how you can actually go in and start to do some resource planning as well as prioritization within projects. So here we see project managers here and right down to either roles or individuals. And what this actually will do is measure against a, for instance, resource pool. So we see that Anne is shown in the resource pools as available these hours, but let's now see what she's also got as far as assignments and estimates and how it plays into total availability as well. So the whole front end of the project process, the project demand management as we call it, also can be managed with this.
And this is, this is really interesting to see because I haven't seen this before, Daryl. This element of BrightWork. And when I was a customer, I know that this is one of the big challenges that we had is we had a lot of people requesting projects from IT, and a lot of people didn't have the visibility into exactly how many projects that were being requested of IT. And so when we just created a basic SharePoint list, nothing to this detail, but for people to have the insight into all the projects that are being requested, that really opened people's eyes out to the breadth that we were working on. It really helped us to collaborate and to prioritize the projects that folks wanted us to work on first. And so this is, a very powerful area, and I'm glad that you showed this.
Yeah, this is something that's it's actually a fairly new addition to BrightWork, and we've really enhanced that, and we found a lot of people really like this. The one other thing that I did show earlier, but I want to emphasize, is that this whole team member view and where they can manage their work. Here's an example of, again, many projects, but I can go on and go to the My Work portal and see everything that I've been assigned across this entire department. And it even breaks down to project goals, project tasks, project issues, or you could have even help desk issues. And so you can actually go in and see exactly the work that you need to worry about. And Alex is actually assigned as project manager on some of these things as well. So for the team members that don't want to have to go into all the project information, they just go to the My Work page, update what they need, and it updates the project automatically.
And as a manager, can I go in there and see, the team members that I manage? Can I kind of see what they're working on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can actually apply filters here or in the actual reports out here. You can actually see the My Team, My Work modifications. Here's work overall, okay, by owner, by assigned to, even the top 5 task issues and overdue work. So here's all work that's overdue as of 6/12.
And those are, of course, the hot items that I probably want to address first.
Exactly. And you can also have it generate alerts as well for these type of things. So you don't have to go to it. It can come to you as well.
Excellent.
So I think you see here that what we've really done is created a project management system that in the form of a portal that really is also role-based. So if you're an executive, you can see it at a top level here across many different projects in the organization. If you're a department head, you can see it for your department. If you are a team member or a project manager, you can see it for your individual projects and your individual tasks and issues and so on. So it's really designed to make it useful for an organization across that entire spectrum.
And of course, I'd imagine that if I didn't have rights to see certain elements about certain projects, I just wouldn't see those.
Absolutely. Yep. And for more information on some of these things, the other thing I mentioned, we mentioned some of the case studies. If you go to brightwork.com/case studies, you can see the way a number of different customers are using it. I think we've got about 5 or 6 specifically in education. We obviously have many more. But if you go in these, you'll see that we actually have interviews. We have demos of how they're using the tool and how they've actually implemented. So I do want to, let people know that that's out there, and that's a great way to see how it's been implemented in some of their peers' organizations.
That's really good.
So with that, let me kind of go back and finish up here, and we'll take a look at this. So again, now you can start to see we looked at Project Request Manager and Project Forecast Manager. We looked at Project Tracker and Issue Manager there, which was the very Excel spreadsheet type way of looking at it for, I would say casual users of project management. We looked at a Project Lite, which was a simple project that just kept track of tasks. Then we moved over to Standard and Structured, where we were actually keeping track of teams and roles and resources and goals and all of those things. And we looked at a Project Office, which was more departmental or in scope, and then a full Program Management Office that went across the entire organization. So let me kind of go in and take a look at, just kind of recap. So what you see is that we have the capability to track all of the items in collaborative management. And you decide how many of these you want to do based on the structure that you really need. And then, of course, again, at any level, you can roll these up. And you can have the simplest all the way through to the most structured roll up in the same project management office and portfolio. So the benefits here. What we provide is a single platform for all project management activities, and it allows you to create some standard project management practices and provide a central point of access to actually create projects, to measure which projects you should be doing, and then to actually build them, track them, and complete the projects. It does not require, and this is key for user acceptance, it does not require your users to throw out your current tools like Excel and MS Project. They can use this with the product, and which is typically the way they're most comfortable, and then we apply the roll-up and the visibility and those type of things to that information. It's a very cost-effective deployment and really provides new levels of visibility and control into projects without putting an overhead of learning big ways of doing new things here. We really try to get it so that it is brought in and it's a benefit, not a hindrance. So you do have some different resources out there. On our site, we have a free ebook, which is about collaborative management and how to apply that. And of course, that's a lot of what you get. We didn't go into a whole lot of that, but there's also calendars and documents and everything else that we're keeping track of on these project team sites. We have 10 case studies. You already saw the specific education case study pages. And if you still need more information out there, we do have, we can do a demo for your organization, very much like what we've seen here. We do have a free trial zone. It's a hosted thing. You could go in and actually experience the product for yourself. And we do recommend that. And if there's any questions, I think we can take those now. And one other thing, though, you may be asking is, well, how do we get started in this? Well, we also have something called a Jumpstart. And Jumpstart is where we actually come in and do it's a bundle that includes the software, the mentoring, the training, and support to get you up and going. And we take a look at your organization, what you're trying to achieve, and help you in the project scoping and planning setup and needs definition. We do installation and configuration of the BrightWork plugin, and it's not hard to install, but we do all of that for you. We build 2 project templates. We decide which ones are right for you and customize those to your needs. And then we also build a project office so that you actually have 2 projects and a small project office for reporting across those projects. So we set up a basic structure for you. We train the staff. There are 50 end-user licenses of BrightWork and a year of support and so on. And this is priced anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000. You can get started with our product for for under $5,000 for a 20-user implementation as well. So we've tried to make this very cost-effective, and I think you'll see very quick payback in the product itself. And so, Mark, with that, I'll turn it back, and we can take some questions if you'd like.
Excellent. And so thanks. I got to share real quick, but thanks a lot, Daryl, for presenting that. That was fantastic. And I know when I was a customer, one of the big challenges that we had when I was a customer is that we used to, have a scenario where a project's going fine and it's running smoothly, and we meet maybe every 2 weeks or even every month to kind of go over all the different projects, sometimes every week. And a lot of projects are green, and throughout somewhere in that week or somewhere in that 2 weeks, all of a sudden it's red, and really no one had any insight to that. So the ability for project managers to have a central location to publish this, and mid-level, senior-level managers, or whatever role that you have, can see instantly the statuses of those projects and that insight. That's a huge value add for SharePoint. And as far as a collaboration platform, it's really about insight and where work happens. And so, this solution is certainly one of those areas to where you can really revolutionize the way and the insight that you do project management. So I thank you for sharing that. Now, I don't know, did my screen show?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
You can see my screen? Okay. And so I'm going to go to my last slide and just remind everyone, my name is Mark Dunkel. If you have any questions about this webcast or any other webcast, you can certainly reach out to me at the email address provided. Again, www.brightwork.com to learn more about the solution, get a trial version, or get a demo, additional demo for your team. You can also find some additional education webcasts at www.educationwebcast.com. This video will be posted within 24 hours on this YouTube channel. It's SharePoint@edu, and you spell "at," it's not the @ symbol, but SharePoint@edu. This webcast presentation will be made available, and you can certainly consume that and share that with peers within your institution. And also, if you'd like us to test drive SharePoint, we have a demo environment, a public demo environment, where you can go ahead and drive SharePoint at www.microsoftpsdemos.com. The PS is short for public sector, so www.microsoftpsdemos.com. And with that said, I would like to thank Daryl once again for his presentation. It was fantastic. And thank everyone for joining us today. With that said, I'll conclude today's webcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
1 second.